Hello guys, welcome back. In this video, we'll be setting up pfSense on a VM. Let's get started. Before that, if you want to download the pfSense ISO, let's go and search for the pfSense from the download section. By the time of this recording, 2.6.0 is the latest one. For the architecture, I'll be using AMD 64 because we are using on a VMs. And as for the installer, I'll be downloading the DVD image installer. And for the mirrors, select the location which is nearest to your location. I'll be selecting Singapore for me, so it is the nearest location for me. So then click download. After that you can extract the ISO image. Let's create a VM now. I'll be using 120 for the VM ID, and for the name I'll be giving the pfSense. And now we'll be selecting ISO which we will downloading from the pfSense website. Okay, click next. This for the system settings, I'll be using default one, no problem in that. And for the disk space, I'll be using 20 GB, it is more than enough. And for the CPU, I'll be leaving it as 1. For the memory also, we'll be using the default one. So for the network, we'll need 2 network devices for this. So we'll just click next for this time, for the time being, and we'll be adding after the setup is completed. So click next. We won't be starting this right after the finishing, so we'll just click on finish. So our VM is ready. So let's go to the hardware and click on add and new network device. We'll be using another network device for this one. So the VMBR0 network will be our WAN, and the network VMBR1 will be our LAN. In order to use pfSense, we need to have 2 network devices or 2 network ports, one for the WAN and another for the LAN. The WAN will be our public IP and the LAN will be for the devices which we will be connecting to the LAN. Okay, so let's go to the console and start the server. Okay, now the device is ready to boot up. Let's set up the pfSense now. It will automatically start auto boot. Okay, let's get this started. I'll be pressing enter to accept, and okay, I'll be pressing enter again to install. And most of the time we'll be using the default settings, so let's just continue with the default key map. Press enter, press enter. Right now we'll be using just continue with the install. We'll not going for any redundancy, so we'll just continue with the default and press OK, enter. Spacebar to select the device and enter to proceed. So it will be yes and continue. Now the installation is finished. Right now we don't want to change anything manually, so we'll just proceed with we'll just continue with no. And now reboot. Press enter to reboot. Once this is complete, let's go with the procedure. Right now we don't want any VLANs to be set up, so press enter N and enter. And now we'll be setting up the network devices for the WAN and LAN. Remember that we use net 0, VNet 0 will be our WAN, and VNet 1 will be our LAN. Okay, press Y and enter. Okay, our setup is here completed now. So this is the LAN 192.168.1.1 will be the dashboard for the pfSense, and 192.168.0.104 is the WAN for the pfSense. Once our devices are connected to the LAN of this pfSense, so our devices will get the IPs something like 192.168.1.10, 1.20, 1.21, etc. etc. Okay, so we'll just log into the pfSense dashboard, but the pfSense dashboard will only be able to log in through our LAN interface only. Right now there is an Ubuntu service, Ubuntu desktop running here. Let's log in here. Okay, we see the IP of this machine. Let's go to the terminal and type IP here. You can see here it is have 192.168.0.103 as its IP. It's because it is taking the IP from our router, but we want this machine to be on the LAN from the pfSense behind the pfSense. So what we'll do, we'll give this machine the LAN which will be coming from the pfSense, which is VMBR1. Let's go to the hardware. Right now you can see it has VMBR0, which is coming from the router, but we want this machine to be behind the pfSense. So the VMBR1 will be coming from the pfSense. So this Ubuntu machine will be behind the pfSense. That means the network is controlled by the pfSense for Ubuntu. Okay, so we have changed the network now. Let's check once more here. We did not got the updated IP here, so let's just release the IP. For that we simply have to use a command dhclient -r to release the current IP which is associated to our machine. So let's check the IP now. Let's use sudo dhclient -r. We'll give sudo password build old client process. So we don't have an IP for right now. You can see there is no IP assigned to this. So let's just ask for new IP. Same command dhclient sudo dhclient. That's it. So we will get a new IP from there. So you can see we are using 192.168.1.100 is our new IP. In the previous section you can see it is 0.103. Now it is 1.100. So we got the new IP. Now let's go to the browser and type 192.168.1.1, which is the gateway of the LAN and also the dashboard for the pfSense. Let's go advance, accept the risk and continue. The default sign for the pfSense will be the admin and password will be the pfSense, which is all lowercase. I don't want to save it. Now let's go with the quick setup process. Click on next and next. Now this is for the pfSense host name. We'll just leave this as pfSense, and this is the domain name. If you wish to change your domain name, you can change it from here. Okay, you can use this domain name to access different machines. Okay, I just use home data local for this, and I will uncheck this one, override DNS, and I will give primary DNS your wish. I will give Google's 8.8.8 for Google one and 1.1.1.1 as Cloudflare DNSs for resolving the domain names to the IPs. Okay, let's click continue. And for the host name and for the time zone, select whichever location or whichever time zone you are in. Then I'll be Asia Kolkata, so I click next. And now if you are getting, this is for the DHCP. Right now our IP is coming from a router, so it will be on DHCP. So next we don't change anything right here, but in the section here you might want to disable this, because if you connect the WAN port directly to this, you might don't want this. But if you are like me, right now I am getting a private IP from the router to this pfSense, so I'll just unblock this and continue. Okay, right now this is the gateway. So you can change this to your liking, like something like 10.20.20.1 or 10.27 on the private space. I mean 27.27.1 or something your wish, what you would like to do, or 10.10, whatever you want or whatever you wish to. Right now I'll just leave this as 10.1.1.10, sorry, 1.1.1, and then click next. And I'll be changing the password for this. Okay, now continue. I don't want to save this again, and then reload. The reload now is in progress. You can see we just changed the subnet. I mean, we just changed this one, and we just changed the subnet now. So we'll just do the same thing again. Sudo dh client -r sudo dh client. You can see before that our previously 192.168.1.0 is our previous IP. Now if we check for the IP, we'll get different. 10.1.1.10 is our IP for this machine Ubuntu. So we'll just simply replace this one. 10.1.1.10, sorry, 1.1 is the IP. Accept the risk again. Okay, you just enter the password now. One. Our setup is now complete. Here you can see the WAN IP which is coming from our router, and our pfSense is there, and from the pfSense we are getting this IP. This is the pfSense router, I mean pfSense gateway, or the dashboard IP for this. From there we are getting an IP 192, oh sorry, not 192, this is the IP we are getting from the pfSense to the Ubuntu. So after that you can see right now if you try to ping Google, you can see temporarily change your name resolution. This is because the DHCP server resolver is not functioning properly. I mean, here you need to enable forwarding mode. Once this feature is enabled, we already set the DNS queries. You can see we already set our DNS to Google and Cloudflare during our setup process. So if the names were not registered here, then it will be forwarded to the DNS, Google DNS and Cloudflare DNS. From there we'll get the IPs for those domains. Okay, so once we enable this one, we need to change this, we need to apply the settings, click on save, and then apply changes. Okay, the changes has been applied successfully. Now let's try to ping this one more time. Full.com. You can see now we are getting the name resolved. Hope you learned something new. Have a good day.